everyone, welcome to Acquire Knowledge channel. This is fifth video in the series of understanding and modeling spring connection in ANSYS Mechanical. In this video, we will discuss on extracting the stiffness value from a 3D CAD spring model. After finishing this video, you will learn why it is actually required, how to extract the linear and nonlinear stiffness from a spring CAD model, why nonlinear analysis will be important, defining proper boundary condition which will mimic the experimental scenarios. Also, I just want to highlight that we are not going to discuss the mathematical formulation of geometric nonlinearity or which element to use and then performing the mesh sensitivity analysis. Now, first thing is that whenever we want to extract some stiffness from the 3D CAD model, there will be different scenarios in which it will be actually required. So I will discuss few of the scenarios. First is the computational cost. Usually when we are solving any finite element method problem, in most of the scenarios, we are working on some assembly level applications. An assembly level application contains a number of spring in the modeling domain. We know that increasing the number of element or nodes in a finite element method drastically affect the simulation time. And in order to counter those things, either we have to live with the increase in the simulation time or we have to use enhanced computer hardwares to speed up the simulation. But there is another approach, like suppose if we replace this spring behavior by using some other spring elements that are present in mechanical, then you will see a drastic reduction in the computational cost. At the time, the accuracy is not going to be compromised. Now, in some cases, we don't actually have stiffness pro data from the material supplier. Like even though in some cases you will have some linear stiffness property supplied by them, but based upon the actual modeling domain or the actual modeling loading condition, your spring might go into the nonlinear regime. So in those cases, it's good that if we have a CAD geometry, we can extract the nonlinear stiffness data from the CAD geometry, which can be further populated under the spring connections. Like in previous video, we discussed about the nonlinear spring combin 39. Next is that you already have a CAD geometry, then we can't do anything. In order to mimic the behavior, we need some spring stiffness. And the only way is that we have to extract those stiffness properties from the CAD model. Finally, next is that the modeling or the local behavior of the spring is not actually our area of interest. For example, if you are trying to model this bicycle and our area of interest is to see how much stresses are going to be generated or the deformation is going to happen in the frame. So in that cases, modeling spring as a 3D element doesn't make much sense. So what you can do is that you can extract those stiffness values either from the CAD model, or if it is already supplied from the material supplier, you can use those values and perform this type of a full-fledged analysis of a bicycle. Next is that in some cases, we need to actually design the spring based upon the modeling requirement. Like this is an example of a spring relief valve in which we usually calibrate the spring stiffness properties, which will give us the desirable behavior. So in those cases, again, for a starting purpose, what you can do is that you can extract the stiffness properties and then perform some plus delta minus sensitivity type of analysis to see that which value is actually mimicking the situation. And after that, you can go back to your spring model, modify the geometrical properties or design the spring in such a way that it will give you the corresponding spring stiffness based upon the geometrical details. Next, how to model those springs in a computational domain. So first thing is that if we look at the experimental way of the way of evaluating the spring stiffness, we can see that this is a commonly used experiment in which we hang the spring from one end, then we apply some type of weight, measure the deflection, and then use the k is equal to f by delta. But keep in mind that this is going to give you this is something that will give you linear and nonlinear response both based upon the applied weight slotted weight. Now in order to mimic the same situation in modeling domain, so suppose this is my spring model. Now in this case I can apply a fixed constraint or the fixed support at the top, and then apply some type of loading or the remote displacement. I will suggest whenever you are modeling, use a remote displacement type of condition because it's always good. It's a finite element method will perform from a convergence point of view in a better way whenever we are working with some displacement controlled approach. Now, next is that this is simple spring definition. Suppose you have some this type of thing, spring, block, lug, everything is there, and we want to replace all the things by their equivalent stiffness. Then in that case, again, we can fix this lug at one side, top lug at one location, bottom lug we can apply some displacement, we can measure the forces, and then because we suppose if you apply a displacement of 1 mm, you will go get the corresponding force. Then it's just a matter of k is equal to f by delta. So that will give you the linear values. And in case if it is going into nonlinear regime, then you can directly extract the force versus deflection data and use it for the Combit 39 element. Now I had already created one demo in which I will discuss how we can set up this type of model. So that is going to be give you a quick overview, because if we look at the spring and if we are going to apply some tension behavior, tensile type of stretching. So in those cases, it's these two surfaces are not going to come in contact. But suppose if you are applying a compression, it might happen that if your deformations are large, these two surfaces are going to come in contact. So we have to define a self-contact type of definition. So I will show that while going through the demo. Okay, so I had already created the geometry. So what I will do is that I will go through the setup that will be actually required. So first thing is that because we have to actually extract the tension and the compression stiffness. So what we can do is that we can insert the manual contact region, and then you can select the faces. So you can select all the faces. Again, contact and target selections are going to be same because it's a self contact problem. Then definition type, we will set it to frictional. Usually metal to metal contact frictional values are near to 0.2. You can also check based upon your material of the spring. It might be different. Then I will suggest for this type of application, you can use detection method, nodal projected normal from contact. Then we will come down to static structural, insert. First, we will apply some fixed constraint at one side of the face. After that, we will use remote displacement. You can also use a remote force, but my suggestion will be to use a displacement controlled approach to get a smoother convergence. And then we can apply suppose I want to run this with some value of 1.7. So for the corresponding applied stretch value, we will get some reaction forces, and then we can re-evaluate the stiffness. Like suppose if you are running a linear analysis, what we can do is that we applied a displacement of 1.7, we will get some force, and then we can divide force divided by this deflection, and then we will we can come up with the linear stiffness of this thing. Suppose if we want to extract the nonlinear stiffness, we can extract the force versus deflection response of this spring model. So I already have had solved this model. So what I will do is that I will go back to my solved model. So here you can see that this is the same setup, and I had applied 1.7 of the value. So for extracting the reaction forces, what we can do is that we can simply drag and drop this reaction displacement over the solution, and we will have the corresponding force that will be required to stretch this model by distance 1.7. So here we can see this, we are getting some 19.26, and if I divide it by my applied displacement, we can come up with the stiffness value. One thing to notice here that this stiffness values that we are getting is completely linear in nature, even though we had defined some contact, which will come into picture if we are trying to extract the compressive stiffness of this component. Now, in order to capture the effect of this model, if suppose if the cross-sectional area change is significant, or if the radius is changing by a large amount of time, we have to activate the large deflection setting that is present here. So currently it is set to off. So I have another model in which I set this large deflection to on, just to showcase the difference that can come, or it can be significant or moderate or even negligible based upon the operating regime in which the spring is going to operate. For example, if you are operating in the length of the spring divided by 50 or something, you will see that the effect between this effect will be negligible. But as you move towards, like if you are try to increase this value to as a percentage of length, you will see that the effect will be prominent. Be prominent. And suppose if these values are very high, or in case of high vibrations, high amplitude vibrations, your stiffness are going to change by large amount of values. Now, if we just one comparison for 1.7, so it is around 10% of the length. If we look at the reaction forces that we are getting for the nonlinear analysis, we can see that the force is 21.925, which is higher than the force that we are getting for the linear analysis. Now, second thing is that I had created the slides just to showcase you why nonlinear analysis will be important. So based upon that simple run, we can see that first thing is that if we look at the formula for the spring, it actually depends upon the cross section of your spring, that is d diameter, and also the radial flare of this spring. Now, if we want to account for the change in diameter and the radius, we have to run a nonlinear analysis. Linear analysis will not give us what is actually going to happen for application of, like suppose for the application of higher load to the spring model. So to take into account of those type of response, we cannot use a combin 14 element, that is a linear element. We have to use combin 39 element, and we have to extract the stiffness by activating the large deflection to on. Now, for this simple case, suppose for this case only, we had applied a displacement of 1.7. So this delta F first row shows you a value of how much forces are changing between the one substep. So here we can see it's nearly constant. It means that the stiffness is not changing as the simulation is progressing. But if we look at the values for the nonlinear analysis, we can see that stiffness is getting accounted as your delta F, or the force for the corresponding substep, or the delta U, is getting changed as the simulation is progressing. And also on the extreme right, we can see the percentage error keeps on increasing. So suppose instead of 1.7, if you apply a value of 17, or so not 17, for example, you apply a value of 10 or something, you will see that the percentage difference will keep on increasing. It means that for a larger deflection analysis, the stiffness values that we might have extracted from the linear analysis will not be correct, and it will not mimic the real scenarios. For those cases, you have to run a nonlinear analysis and use that data in the combin 39 element. Now here, from here also we can see that if you suppose if we are operating till 0.68, that is the length of the spring divided by 20, nearly 20. So we can see that it's nearly 10%, and we can live with that. Then we can use the stiffness values that we had computed from the linear analysis. So as a thumb of rule, I will suggest that if the deflection is greater than 5% of the length, it's good to perform a comparative study. And also I will suggest, like because this values extraction is actually going to depend upon the application you are working with. So please check that the deflections or the deformations that are coming, and at the end of the your spring model is not significant compared to the length of the spring. Usually before running the simulation it might not be known, or from the experiment you are already aware that how much this spring should move. So in those type of scenarios you can make a decision based upon your engineering judgment, or you can do a simulation with linear spring only and then just check the deformation values. If the deformation values are large, it means that maybe we need to change the approach and we have to go back to the model of the spring and re-evaluate with the large deflection on, and extract the force versus deflection curve and use it in the main simulation. So that's all I wanted to discuss for this video. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share so that we will be motivated enough to make uh, next videos for you. Thank you and have a nice day.